Let's see. Got it. There we go. Okay. Sweet. So 775 Humphrey Street. Actually, let me see if I can filter for owner. No. Okay, that's not okay. I know, but these are Jake's. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so here's one. Charleston, Illinois. Let's take a look at this. Owned by investors who bought it in a pool and don't want to fix it up. She says cash, but they could be open to seller financing if closing costs were paid. Average repairs needed, average outside, furnace gone, duct work, rusty hardwood floors, needs redone or carpet, new bathrooms. They look okay. Good to me, though. Some windows need replaced. Grates are bad, leak in the roof above the bedroom, but no mold. Agent said the lowest they'd go is 30K. This came from Corey. So let's look at it. Charleston, Illinois. And there's no telling, like, that maybe they went pending, they took an offer, it closed.
This is Caleb. Hey, Caleb, my name's Austin.
Yeah, this one's tough to tell. I can't really. Jake's got a lot of these. Okay, so here's one Austin was working on. Seller looked at an offer, is not interested in sub 2, follow up in a month to see if anything's changed. So the majority of the time, you know, our offers, we send offers and they just don't get accepted. Here's one, 409, 365. Let me just show this. Okay, so here's my pipeline. Here's all my disqualified leads. There's 62. So I'll look at some of these here. Maybe this will be better. Okay, so here's a perfect example of a deal that isn't a good deal, but you know they our JV partner submitted it. Looks like Robert. Okay, so Robert submitted this one. He's in the Zooms quite often, so we can see his notes. The seller is out of state. They renovated the property a little bit, new flooring, paint. They had a tenant but moved out. They want their money out, no mortgage. Agent said they were very motivated. She told me just to send a cash offer and she'll present it. Repairs needed. Looks like it's in decent condition. Some more notes. Agent is very nice. She sent 2 more properties. One of them is on off market. The properties in my town, very good, are A-rated schools, blah, blah, blah. So let's see. So Longfellow Drive in Palm Coast. I think I remember this one. Let's see. It'd be funny if it's still on market. Still on market. Okay. So still on market at 315,000. And this is why I tell people, you know, like days on market doesn't mean that you're dealing with a motivated seller. It could almost mean the opposite, right? Like if someone's truly motivated, they're not going to be on the market for 240 days, right? If they're in foreclosure, divorce, they're going to have to sell at whatever they can get. So someone telling me they're motivated, great. But what I'm seeing is 243 days on market, very low activity for 240 days, only 700 views, very, very low activity. It even says it in the notes here, right? Sellers out of state, they renovated the property, they had a tenant moved out, they want their money out, no mortgage. So again, no mortgage, so there's no pain there. They're paying property taxes on a vacant property, but that's about it. Agent says they're very motivated, okay? Now, I called the agent, and I asked one simple question. And this is, if you guys are making cold calls to agents or sellers, one of the best questions, especially when you're dealing with cash or really any type of transaction, it could be sub 2 as well. what's the highest offer that your clients turned down? I asked that question. She said they turned down 275,000, right? So within 30,000 of their list price, or 315, 40,000 of their list price, right? So that right there tells me, okay, the highest offer they've gotten is 275 and they didn't accept it, right? So no one's coming above that. So how motivated are they really? And then on my notes, they said the lowest they'll accept is 300, which is way higher than my cash offer would be. No creative terms. She said if they don't sell, they'll just move back into it, but they really want to sell. So, right, again, where's their motivation? They just want this made up number in their head, but if they don't sell, they'll just move back into it, right? So their motivation is a gain. It's like, hey, I just want this cash so I can move. But if I don't sell, like I'll just move back into it. So there's really no motivation there. And then for us as an investment side, right? Always think when you're looking at properties, whether you're wholesaling or whatever, what are the potential exit strategies here? Okay. So looking at the pictures of this home, right? A fix and flip really isn't going to be like your first thought. This is in like rental condition. Sure, you might be able to update the kitchen and the bathrooms, but how much more could you get for it, right? So I could check comps. So this is a 3.3, 2,000 square foot. So 3.3, 2,000 square foot. Let me go and reset my filters here and just see what's sold in the last 6 months in this area. 285, like all over the place. 285, 300 for a 5.3, 3,000 square foot house, right? So obviously way bigger of a home. Same thing, 310 for a 5-bed, 3-bath, 3,000 square feet. 610, obviously way nicer of a property. 285. So okay, so here's a comparable, right? Sold in December, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet. So smaller, sold for 285. But everything else I'm seeing, right? Like if I'm looking at just these two homes, 310 and 300 for much larger, nicer homes, I'm guessing these are just, yeah, this is all just lots, vacant lots here. Let's look over 4.3. Again, like just a very nice looking home on the outside at least. So if I flipped this, completely renovated it, I might be able to get that 315 number they're looking for. But look at, I mean, this is a nice kitchen. It looks fully remodeled or brand new at least. And they only got 310 for a 5-bed, 3-bath, 3,000 square feet. So fix and flip doesn't really make sense. It's pretty nice. It doesn't really need work. A rental property. Let's see what this thing would rent for. Oh, hit. And you could check rental comps on Zillow as well too. Rent-a-meter is just a little bit quicker. So $2,000 a month on average for rent. For me, I'd rather go buy a Section 8 house for $120,000 and get $1,800 in rent, you know? So rental doesn't necessarily make sense. I don't know this area very well also. I mean, you know, it looks like maybe a good area for appreciation. My initial thought immediately is like, okay, my only exit strategy for me, you know, cash. I'm not buying homes in cash just to put tenants in there. So they would have to owner finance me if this was just going to be a long-term rental. So for me, cash, there's only really a couple strategies. I can flip it and make more money, or I can wholesale it, which is essentially flipping it, right? So if they would accept my offer at 200,000, then I'd go and bring it back on the market at 280, maybe sell it for 260, right? And make my money that way. But if the highest offer they've received is 275 and they denied it, there's nothing I can do unless they're open to creative finance, which they weren't, just nothing I can do. So that one simple question, what's the highest offer that your clients have turned down, would quickly tell you, okay, this just isn't a lead. There's no exit strategies that make sense. They want a retail buyer, so they just outpriced investors for this one. So that's one good example. Let me see. Yeah, Mike says looks too clean, not distressed for a cash deal. Exactly, Mike. Yeah, like cash makes sense. So I have seen some people get good cash deals where, for example, nice house, brand new, but they're going to auction in 3 days, right? So they don't have time to list it. They're basically at the mercy of whatever real estate investor is going to submit an offer. Their home was worth approximately 300,000, but they fire sold it. They sold it for 200,000 again because they had no time. They were truly motivated. They were distressed, right? And that's another thing what you're looking for. You're not necessarily looking for motivated sellers, you're looking for distressed sellers. And that real estate investor probably bought it in cash, got a hard money loan or a bridge loan for 200,000, and they're immediately going to relist it on the market for 315, which is its true value. But because they have 2, 3, 4 months that they can sit on it, they'll actually get that price and sell it and make a profit that way. Yeah, Oliver, highest cash offer. So for a nice house like that, I'm going to determine my ARV. Me personally, I think their ARV is probably closer to 280. So I'm just going to offer 280 for quick math. I'll probably offer like 0.8 of that or 0.75, right? If I can buy it at 75%, 75 cents on the dollar, I know I can go and relist it, still pay all the closing costs and still make a profit. So yeah, 220 or lower probably. Okay, JR says, yes, I ask about the agent's previous offers to get an idea of what's going on. For sellers who are determined they are not interested in sub two just because they don't want to worry about the mortgage, even after I've told them we take over the mortgage. Do you have a specific reply that may help them reconsider? I've been getting sellers like that won't budge lately. That's obviously a case-by-case basis. That is a great question. One of my favorite questions, if someone's not open to sub two, they're not getting offers, there's no interest, is what is their plan if they don't sell? Are they just going to move back into it? Are they just going to turn it into a rental and try to sell it next year? And if the answer is yes to either of those, right, then again, you're not really dealing with someone who's distressed. Maybe they're motivated, but they're not distressed, right? They have other options. They'll move back in, they'll rent it, they'll just let it sit vacant for a year, right? There's more of a want to sell rather than a need. And also that's such a good question. What is their plan if they don't sell? Because that tells you kind of like a little bit about their motivation. Now, what's a response to help them reconsider? Yeah, I would say that, what's your plan if you don't sell? And obviously just getting better at your pitch, making sure they understand it. And this just all comes down to getting better on the phones, making sure that, before you go for an ask. So in sales, right, like if you're going to go for your ask, right? Like, hey, this product is $300. Do you want it? Yes or no? If you haven't brought down any barriers, if that seller is still sitting there, arms crossed, you will never get a yes out of them, right? So make sure they trust you. They understand what you're doing. They understand the process, obviously, before you ask, would you be interested in that? Or can I send you an offer? So that would be my response to that. So that's just I think that one right there, Longfellow Drive, that's a perfect example of like something that a couple of questions that you ask an agent will just let you know right off the bat, okay, this isn't a good deal. I shouldn't submit this. I shouldn't waste my time. I should move on. Okay. Okay, this one's from Robin. Looks like she assigned it to me. I want to find one I'm pretty familiar with. Charlotte, North Carolina, still pending 2 weeks. So like this is, for example, a lead that's submitted. I go and check it and it's pending, right? So there's not much I can do when it's pending. And then it'll most likely put it in disqualified because it's sold. Yep, I love it. Exactly, JR. Yep, you got it. Okay. Okay, here's one. I think this is going to be a good one. So here's a lead. Seller's motivation. I couldn't get this realtor to open up about the owners. I pitched a cash offer, but said it was probably too low for them. When I pitched sub two, she said I'd have to talk to my lender and see if something like that is possible. Wouldn't make a great Airbnb, great estimated rate on PropStream 2.98. The sellers just purchased in 2021 at 305. She didn't ask for an LOI, but just said I wanted to run it by her lender first to see if it was an option. I believe I submitted an offer on this one. Let's see. Let me see. Oh yeah, so I remember this one. So never got the agent's email to send an offer. When I tried to call, she didn't answer, and we were going back and forth through text, and she just kept turning it down. Like they're not open to sub to, they're not going to sell to an investor, blah 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 blah. So same thing. Like I'm not going to convince a seller to take my offer when there's an agent blocking us and not even talking to me on the phone, right? So at that point, I mean, you could call the sellers directly, which we most likely tried, and they told us no thanks. So let's look at some. Still on mark. Oh, I already clicked on it. I mean, if you guys have questions too about underwriting or how I'm arriving at these, definitely let me know. North Carolina, Carlos. Oh, this is a different one. Stafford, Virginia, Northeast Washington. And most of the time, I mean, a lot of these leads, just like I said, went pending and then ended up selling. So this one's still available. Oh yeah, this one, again, a motivated seller, but wants a huge down payment, wants to finance it at 8% interest. The property's vacant, they're not budging. I think she also had on this one an adjustable rate, so a sub two didn't really make sense. Her debt was not very good anyways. Knoxville, see. This one I submitted. Yeah, please, I'm dying.
Cool, cool. All right, I'll try to find a few in my pipeline to show you guys also why we want to qualify some leads. Okay, cool. Here's my direct seller. Okay, right here. This one, Hedgeville, West Virginia. If you go and Google Hedgeville, West Virginia, the population has a population of 300, 300 people. So already right there, I can tell you if it's not over, I like to be over 200,000 people as a population. And 300 people, I'm not even going to take a look at it. It could be a zero down, zero interest, no payments for a year. I just don't want to spend my time on that one unless I want to live in it or I know somebody or I have a client that wants something in that exact area. I'm just not going to go after anything unless the population is 100, 200,000 plus. Um, right, exactly. With this, look at Ridgely, Maryland. I'm gonna go Google that population. That's what you guys want to do. You want to make sure you're going after places where there's actually people actually live there. And there's actually investor activity, or else you're just gonna be exactly right there. 1,600 people live in Ridgely, Maryland. I'm not even gonna touch that deal. Um, and that's mainly what I mostly disqualify for is the population. Frankfort, Kentucky. Maybe there's a lot of people there. I don't even want to go into that one, but I guarantee you. Now, I kind of want to show you one that is a deal. Now, I'm showing you my lead, so just please don't steal them. You can try. Boom. I'll show you what a hot lead looks like right here. This is in Colorado Springs. I'm trying to. Can you still see my screen on PropStream? Yeah. Cool. Okay, here we go. Rubicon Heights. this guy, Chris, he tried to sell, look at this. He tried to sell for 340 and he owes 370. That's a short sale. He's trying to sell for under what he owes. Right there, I can tell you, smoking hot lead. And boom, look at that, 2.9 interest rate. So that's why I have it in the hot leads. Somebody sent that one in. That is a smoking hot deal. They literally tried to sell their house for a $40,000 loss. In Colorado Springs, huge population in Colorado Springs, a lot of investor activity going on. He has a great interest rate and he's going to lose money with his sale. He took it off the market because nobody wanted to buy it. So I called him. We're in working out some details of what I'm going to give him at close, when he wants to close, and when he's going to leave, all that. But that's what a good deal looks like for a subject too. Now, I'm not showing any cash, but a creative deal looks like that. No equity, low interest rate, and they tried to sell, could not get their number. See if we can find another one. Show you another good deal. Let's see. Let's see. Gale Court. This is another one. Okay, let's go. Thornton, huge population in Colorado, probably 400,000 people there. So that checks that box. Let's see. I forget what this one was. Okay, they owe 350. They tried to sell for 410. Boom. They have low equity. So I do my calculation of 410, and I've done this. Me and Bill have done this a lot on these Zooms, but times it by 0.9 because it usually takes 10% to sell your house on market in America. It'll be 369 and they owe 351. So if they got their price, which they didn't because it failed, it was on market and failed. 55 days, they took it off. If they would have got 410, they only would have net maybe $18,000 and it's a $400,000 house. So already right there, I know, hey, I can put maybe 20 something in their pocket, take it over sub 2, wrap it, lease it, rent it, or just wholesale it and make $10,000-$20,000 fee. So that right there is a good deal. They have low equity. Let's check with 2.9 rate, FHA. Expired listing, don't have much equity, large population, and they owe very close to what they're trying to sell for. So that's basically what you guys are trying to do when you're looking for these deals. You don't want to just take a point and arrow and just shoot in a random area. Look where there's actually investor activity going on. Go after towns and cities that have a large population. Just go on Privy and just see where deals are where deals are happening. You can see all those little bubbles that pop up on Privy, and it can show you, hey, okay, people are actually buying deals over here. Or, they're not buying deals in Hedgeville, Maryland, right? They're buying deals in Thornton, Colorado Springs, San Antonio, right? Dallas, Fort Worth, big towns. That's where deals are happening. You don't want to go after these tiny little podunk towns in Paducah, Kentucky. So that's basically what I was trying to get through because a lot of people send in a deal and they're like, well, why did you disqualify? I'm like, they don't want creative. They don't want a low cash offer and the population is 5,000. I'm not even going to waste my time on that. Then you got people who send in the ones like Gale Court or Rubicon Heights. Awesome deals. I'm going to spend a lot of time on those. So that's basically what you want to look for when you're going through, you're trying to find deals to submit and you don't know how to work them. Make sure it's actually somewhere where people are actually doing deals. Peggy says, Joey, if you get the house from Rubicon Heights, let me know. I might know somebody wants to buy it. Okay, sweet. Sounds good, Peggy. I actually might want to buy that one myself. But if I don't, I'll definitely hit you up. You should send me a DM on Facebook just to remind me of that. That's sweet. But cool. I think that's enough of showing the deals. If anybody has any questions, me or Dill are wide open to answer. It's got to be some question. There's Oliver, whatever.
Yo. Sorry, I walked away for a second. Forgive me if you were talking to me. So yeah, that one in, just as an example, because I'm positive it's no longer a deal. The one in Colorado Springs or Colorado City, which is west of Pueblo that I told you guys about. You remember that one?
I do.
he was literally on the verge of going to like no down payment and actually making it a possibility. And then apparently he rehired his real estate agent, which I assume just 100% made it disqualified right there.
Oh, it doesn't 100%, but that just makes it way harder, right? Because that agent's going to fight for her commission, and she's going to
Yep.
fight for her seller, right? Which is rightfully so. But a lot of the times the agents come in and ruin deals. It just depends
Yeah.
though. It could be a really good agent. I'd still maybe try, but still tell her where you're at. Man, I'm at zero to the seller. I can maybe get you a couple $1,000. Area, it's hard to move anything in here and just specify on that.
Yeah,
But
and she's
yeah,
calling me
him
back.
rehiring his agent is tough.
Yeah, she's calling back later. I'm just gonna give her the worst case scenario. If it fits, then fantastic. It might be something. But otherwise just build a relationship with her. But yeah, something I've been doing is literally before I even skip trace any of my lists, as of a couple weeks ago, I'll just take out every mountain town. I'll take out everything that's not those main cities, and that's saving a whole bunch of money, if not time. So cool.
Yeah, yeah. You usually waste your time when you go after some of these small ones. Now we've sold some right in small towns, but they were really hard, and you don't really make much fee on it, and you could
Yeah.
have made more money spending your time elsewhere. You know what I mean?
And so my question on that is, like, again, the more I go into all of this, the more I'm seeing like these are the small things that you may learn over time of like, I'm going to take all those off my list. It's not even worth filling up my day with. Like, I'm going to do this and that. And so that's forward progression, is understanding those things, right?
100%, 100%,
Cool.
right? You don't want to be spending all your time and energy in places you know you're not going to be successful, and maybe you'll get one out of every 200 that you try, but you spent 60 hours working on all of this, your crap leads when you could have spent 60 hours in a better spot and maybe came out with 3, 4, 5 deals instead of, one bad deal. And a bad deal is worse than no deal.
Cool. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Mike says, for a wholesale deal, how rough of condition would you look at a property? If it's a cash deal, the rougher the better. Now some people don't like foundation issues or full guts, but those are the ones you can lock up at the lowest price. So if you're looking for a cash deal wholesale, yeah, the worse condition it's in, the better. Because then you get a higher fee, the flipper will make a higher amount on his flip. Um, Now if it's like a burnt down house, that's a little different. But just a house that's never been taken care of, original condition, needs all the work. Now that's a good lead. As long as the seller is willing to, you know, get what it's worth and doesn't want market value, then yeah, that's a sweet deal. Ashton says, "Hey Joey, I've got a lead on my list. It's a land lot. Should I skip over, or is it something I should still try to get under contract?" Lots of land is a little different. If you don't do land, I wouldn't recommend locking something up if you've never done land deals. They're way, way different beasts. But you can submit it if you need help with it. I'll take a look at it. But yeah, if you don't do land, I would not lock it if you're not familiar with land, because the
Yeah,
numbers are
but dad
way.
knows land, so submit
That's
them.
that's what I said. Just submit. I was telling you, yeah, you don't lock that up yourself if you don't know what you're doing on land. Those are little tough ones to work with. But yeah, shoot it in the deal submission form. We can definitely take a look at land. We've done a lot of land, sold big pieces of land, small lots, Denver, outside of Denver. We're pretty good with land, so if you got that, shoot it in. But I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, it's if you don't want to lock up a land deal, if you've never done one, they're a whole different story. Let's see. No other questions. Everybody had any questions? Just go ahead and
I,
hop in.
I'll keep hopping in until somebody else does. You can just stop me whenever you want.
No,
On that
keep
whole
going, man.
subject, what's that?
I said, no, keep going. Ask away.
All right, you got it. So on that subject of land, I live down in the San Luis Valley. by
Mhm.
Crestone, Colorado.
Yep.
And ever since I got into real estate, I have been having friends and people that know me come to me asking if we can sell or finance their land. And I've sort of stayed away from it because I'm in the middle of freaking nowhere. Cannabis is huge out here, and moving into the middle of nowhere is huge out here. But at this point, I've got like a warehouse property on 40 acres. I've got another 40 acre that my post lady wants to get rid of. I have a friend that's trying to get rid of two parcels that are smaller. I've got another person that came up to me at work the other day asking if we could start listing their thing. What are your thoughts on like maybe entertaining that? Should I just keep
Yeah, I mean, if they're coming to you, right, you didn't go out seeking all that. Yeah, give it a try. Try to sell it for them. All buyers who are buying land out there, um, get it on the market, right? We can. I don't know. Are you an agent?
Yeah.
Yeah, get it, put it on the market, and yeah, they're coming to you. They're like, "Hey, please sell my stuff." Yeah, well then, yeah, that's a no-brainer. But I wouldn't go seeking that, skip tracing,
Yeah,
spend a
no.
lot of time going after stuff in the middle of nowhere. But I mean, if they're like, "Hey, dude, will you sell my stuff for me?" By all means, yes, I would still give it a shot. It's gonna be a slow burner, but still go
Yeah.
after it if it's coming to you.
And I'm new to that, that marketing real estate sort of realm of listing or whatever we're talking about there is uh I'm not familiar with that. I'm even less familiar than like sub two because I haven't done anything over there. Would that just be like Facebook marketing, putting it onto like the Denver Facebook groups and like
It'd be
Instagram?
all of it, yeah. Put it in all the groups of that town and even in the Denver and all that. But when you
Okay.
list it, just put it in your terms. Be like, the seller is willing to carry. Bring your terms. You know what I mean?
Okay. So it sounds like the marketing is just putting it in front of the areas
The most
of
eyes, yeah.
and then maybe make a really simple web page for my real estate license and then just post it on there as well and direct people there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And like I always say, there's a buyer for everything, right? Yes, there's bad deals and places you don't want to look for a deal, but there is a buyer for everything. That's why I always say, like, I know I say don't go after this and all that, but you can find a buyer for anything. It's just going to be a lot harder for the places where there's no activity and it's the middle of nowhere. But there is a buyer for literally everything. And I always say the
Okay.
price is whatever a buyer is willing to pay for it. That's why that those terms are kind of just tossed up in the air. Um, like I said, yeah, I don't go hunting for the bad deals, but a bad deal still there's still a buyer for it. I know there's a buyer for everything. It's just all about finding that buyer.
So I'll take some action on that and sort of figure that out for myself best I can. But can I bring questions like that into office hours? That's
Yeah,
cool.
for sure. And I would
Okay.
hit up Dom and Angie because they've sold a lot of land in Colorado. You could
Okay.
even have one right now. It's Trinidad for sale, which Trinidad, kind of the middle of
Yes,
nowhere.
I do.
Um, and that one came to them. So I would hit up Dom and Angie for questions
Okay.
about selling land outs in the outskirts.
I haven't talked to him in a while, so overdue. Sounds good.
Yeah, hit them up.
Thanks, Joey.
No problem. Anybody else with a question? I know we got about almost 10 minutes left. Someone's got, oh, Charles, got your hand raised. Whatever, bro. You just got to unmute yourself.
Hey man, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
All right, awesome. So, this is kind of on that rural subject as well. I work for a wholesaling team in the Metro East area, on the Illinois side of St. Louis. But I'm from a more rural area in Illinois, and there's been a hotel for sale, kind of like in my hometown for
Hmm.
like almost 2 years. And the owner was my school teacher, so I'm very familiar
Oh,
with the
man.
family. I haven't reached out to them really at all since I've been actively involved in real estate. Uh, and I say it's rural Illinois. I don't know. Do you think I need something like that under contract to send it through to you guys, or would you be interested in
No, you
possibly
don't need it
taking a
under
look at it?
contract. No, anything you guys send, if it's under contract, you need help dispo. There's a link for that. That's the dispo link. But if you don't have it under contract yet and you just help work in the deal, If it's direct to seller, just use the direct to seller one. But no, that sounds good, especially if that was your teacher. You have right the rapport, you know him, right? I mean, he might be open to, hey, I want to help one of my old students out, and use that as like your key point. Like, hey, I want to get started in my real estate business. I want to buy my first, multifamily. I would love for you to work with me on some sort of seller finance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most
Um,
definitely.
but
Would
that
there
sounds
be
like something
a
good.
time that I could maybe get on the phone with somebody on your guys' team to maybe talk about the idea a little bit, or just kind of you just want me to send it in?
Yeah, send it in and I'll give you a ring. Anytime it's a deal that's worth sending an offer, I'll give you a ring.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Sweet. Anybody else? Any questions? Got another 5 minutes. We can answer some questions. Gotta have questions, right?
I'll ask one more.
There we go.
I am, to be honest, I'm a little confused on like cash offers on foreclosures. Like if somebody's open to a cash offer, but they owe more to the bank than the cash offer would be, what does that look like? I don't know if that's a good or bad
Sub
question.
two,
So
right? Make
essentially,
it a creative deal. If you're, that's how you anchor your creative deal to look better, right? You'd be like, okay, I can give you a cash number, man. Let's say they owe 300 and your cash offer, you come in at, my cash offer to get you out is going to be at like 250. And they're like, but I owe 300. Like, okay, well, sweet. Let's do something creative. I can give you 300, but it's going
yep.
to require this, this, and this, and go through the whole subject too, right? I'm going to take over your payments, yada yada. But I use that a lot. I go cash first. I'm like, I think my cash offer is going to be, X amount of dollars, and I always make it to where it's underneath or
Okay.
really close to what they owe, if they have equity or not, depending on, you know what I mean. Um, but that's how I anchor my subject to deals. I'm like, yo, my cash offer is way down here. But if you want your asking price, then I got to do something creative, right? That's
Yeah.
how that's how I anchor it that way. I use my cash offer to make them like my creative one more.
And that's sort of what I've been doing with anchoring as well, is just like you're tired of all these wholesalers lowballing you. That's all I'm going to do if I give you a cash offer. Have you thought about? So that's what I do. But if they only, for example, if they only owe 150 on it and 150 would be a really good cash offer, then cash would work for that situation as well, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, it
Why
still
not?
might
Yes.
even be easier to get a sub two, right? Then I don't got to go to the bank. I don't got to get hard money. I could just take over that loan while I'm flipping it, or doing whatever you want to do with it.
So it seems like a lot of like foreclosures en masse are usually going to be a sub two deal if the motivation or
Depending, there's a lot of people foreclosure who have tons of equity, right? And then there's this whole thing where people talk about all that equity, if they do get foreclosed on, just is floating somewhere, and you can actually go claim that. You can help a seller claim that and get a piece of it. I don't dabble in that. I'm doing too much different stuff than that. But there are
Yeah.
a lot of foreclosures where they owe 200, the house is worth 500. They just stop making payments, right? And the bank's going to take your house. Um, but yeah, no, there are a lot of deals where they have equity in foreclosure, and those are usually the ones where you can get the best cash deals because they do have some equity. Right?
Yeah.
Let's say the ARV is 600, they owe 200, and it needs like 50 grand to work. I'd be like, hey man, let's get you 310 in your pocket. You know what I mean? And now
Yeah.
I can go put 50 into it, sell it for 430. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I do.
So yeah, it's
Okay.
not always creative for the foreclosures. A lot of the times, and a lot of times there's people who are in foreclosure who owe nothing. They just stop making, they stop paying taxes, right? So cities
I've
can
seen a
come
lot of
take your property.
like sewage
Yeah,
liens and water liens, and I'll
yeah,
call them up and need some help.
exactly. Oh yeah,
Okay.
and you'd be surprised how many people. It's crazy how long some of these banks let them go. I got off the phone with a guy the other day, and he tells me, "Yeah, I think my arrears are somewhere around 80,000." I was like, "Whoa!" He was all, "I don't know how they got that number." I was like, "Oh man, when did you was like, when did you stop paying? He was like, sometime around COVID.
Come on, man.
I was like, oh,
I-
that's probably why you're 80 grand in arrears. You haven't
That guy's
paid
got
in
it.
4 years.
That guy's got to teach like an anxiety class. Like, how do you keep your anxiety down? How are you not freaking out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in
It's going to be
foreclosures,
obvious. It's going to be obvious if it's a cash offer. I'm overthinking it. Is sort of what I'm
100%. 100%. Yep.
perfect. Okay.
But yeah, some of these foreclosures are a little tough. They're the most motivated, right? Because they're about to lose their house or stop paying. But most of them you'll find they're in denial. Like you call them, hey, I see you have a problem with the bank. I'm just here to help you with that, blah blah. And they're like, no, I don't have no problem. No, I'm good. I'm not in foreclosure. It's like, well, your auction date is in 30 days. So they'll call you a week before auction. Be like, actually, please buy my house. And it's like, well, dude, I was talking to you a month ago. You said you had it all figured out. That's the first stage of like foreclosures is denial.
Yeah.
They just don't believe they're actually going to lose their house, and they tell you to screw off, right? Because 100 people are calling them. They're getting all kinds of calls. People trying to buy their house. That's why I always try to tell them I'm not trying to buy their house. I want to help them with their problem with the bank. That's always what I say.
Yeah.
I don't say, hey, I want to buy your house. Say, hey, I'm here to help with this bank situation. I hear they're messing with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing in text
Um,
messages as well. And another thing, give me your opinion on this that I'm throwing in there as well lately is, but one of the things I've learned, to talk about first is, do you just want to get out of this house? Do you want to get rid of the headache? Just to sort of skip over, like, we could do this, this, and this to keep it. Well, I mean, if you don't even want to keep it and you just you got a plan, let's go there first. Any
yep.
problems with saying that, or does that sound good to you?
No, no, I like
It's
that.
been working.
Yeah, I like everyone has their own approach. I like to keep away from saying I'm gonna buy their house. I always say that maybe in the end. Like I want to help you first. If
Okay.
all else fails, I can buy the house from you and get you out of this foreclosure situation so it doesn't mess up your credit and your buying power and pretty much your life for the next 7 years. If you
Yeah.
get a foreclosure, you can't even qualify to buy a phone, like an iPhone. Like they won't even qualify you to make payments on on an
Yeah.
iPad or something. You know what I mean? It messes you up for a while.
Try to rent a
Um,
room.
yeah,
Cool. Yeah, and I've also been focusing on like that last month of foreclosures because I was just getting overwhelmed trying to like follow up with everyone. So like I'll follow up a bunch with like the last month of foreclosures where they're really like starting to get out of that denial phase. But I'll also like sometimes try to like touch when they first go into foreclosure. So when I call them back 2 months later, they recognize the name, stuff like that. Try not to like
yep,
dabble in the middle. I'm just trying to find ways to like reduce, time and increase efficiency. And so it sounds like keep testing, and it sounds like I'm on the right track with like figuring a couple things out too.
yeah. In foreclosures, I always tell them too that that whole thing of I'll help you with the bank because most of the time these banks they do mess with these sellers. They won't answer. They'll call the bank and they'll say, "Oh, I need to transfer you to this person." They transfer, and then they tell them they can't. But like someone like us will call them out on their shit, and they give us everything right away. They love to mess with sellers, right? Because they want to take
Yeah.
your house.
And actually, I see Robert's got his hand raised, so I don't want to take all the time, but this one's a quick one. You just reminded me. I'm trying to get a hold of Cross Country Mortgage for somebody that I am just trying to help. She's really nice and is scared. I've been trying for 2 weeks. Nobody can get a hold of them. Messages. What do you do in that scenario?
You need to hit Angie up. She is so good at calling banks out on their shit
Okay.
and getting hold of people and doing investigative work. She's saved a lot of foreclosures, right? Where we didn't even make money. We just helped the seller keep their house. She's plotting with banks, with representatives. First you got to get a POA though, or sometimes they won't even talk to you. Power of
Okay.
attorney.
Cool. Call
Yeah,
Angie.
hit up Angie. She's really good at that.
Cool. Thanks.
Sweet. What up, Robert?
Yeah, Joey, thank you. So I have been coming across a number of sellers that are off market that have heavy equity, and yet, but it's been off market for a long time, in reality, to cut to the chase, if they don't do something and it is foreclosed upon, they're going to lose their equity or most of their equity, right? So they literally are in some kind of a psychic bubble in outer space or something.
Yeah, like I said, people are in denial. They
Yeah.
don't believe they're actually going to lose their house until they pull all their stuff out of it, and then there's a tag on their door, and they won't let them in, right?
Yeah, because I've been looking at them on PropStream, and it doesn't seem to make any sense how long they've been in foreclosure and heavy equity in the house.
Yeah, a lot of blue states let sellers not pay for a long time.
Mm.
So like California, Colorado, you'll see, yeah, like that guy called, he hadn't paid in 4 years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
4 years of no payments, they still haven't taken his house.
So at that point, it's kind of important to become like an atomic clock. In other words, you note when you've called, and I guess try not to give up on them because at some point their balloon is gonna be popped.
100%. And just use third-party stories. Third-party stories get me deals and contracts so much. Even if it's not your story, just tell a story about a past seller you worked with. Again, man, I had this guy, he hadn't paid in 2 years. He had 300 grand of equity. Didn't believe me. I kept trying to tell him, hey, let me just save you from this foreclosure. I don't even have to buy your house. Little did he know, he lost his house and 300 grand of equity. And now his
Wow.
credit is shot for 7 years. Right? Use
Okay.
third-party stories.
I mean, you don't really have to figure stuff out. It's just a reality.
100%.
All right.
Pace
Thank
always says that too. Even if it's not your story, use a third party story, something you heard from us or a YouTube or Pace or something. Just it's a story, it's a true story, and it just kind of puts the seller to realized reality, right? That they're most likely going to lose their house and $300,000 of equity that they have. So yeah, sweet. If any more questions, I could probably take one more before we call it quits today.
I don't have another question, but
Yeah,
I want to give some value to everybody, if that's all right.
yeah,
I
go ahead.
am really trying to practice a lot of underwriting from multifamily to single family, and also I'm over in my other group really crushing down on comping. So if I can help this, I sort of thought of this because of Charles. If I can help, like if Dylan and Joey are busy and you just need a quick answer, you just want to chat it out, I think were your exact words, Charles. My number is next to my name. Give me a holler. I will happily comp or underwrite. It's good practice for me. And if it leads to an awesome relationship, I would also like that because I am trying to build a little team of people to call foreclosures and expires and different stuff with me. I'm finding that I do have an integrator side. So if I can help with any of that, please, my number is next to my name. Reach out. I need some practice. I hope that was all right.
Sweet, love it. Hit Oliver up. Hit him up.
Thanks, man.
Help you with comping, underwriting. Well, sweet. Thanks everybody for coming. Join the Facebook group, the Discord, ask questions. Right, we try to get to everybody in a timely manner. It's hard. But if you guys want to learn how to do 10 plus deals a month, that's where we're at. Our next goal for the next quarter is to get to 20 deals a month. I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking at my map. I have a big map next to me with a bunch of pins in it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 13 properties under contract this month. Looking to double it next month. So if you want to learn how to do exactly what we're doing, just keep coming to these Zooms, stay in the Facebook, call us, ask questions. Let's do it. I want everybody to get their first deal, get their first 100 deals. But thanks everybody for coming. Peace.